Hello, this is Harry Paden. I am the host of Paden's Pulpit. Today is Season 1, Episode 26. The subject, Why Assimilation Does Not Work. Why Assimilation Does Not Work. Okay. Why are you speaking about a subject like that, Harry, Mr. Paden? Well, here's why. This past Sunday, the Red Sox played the Orioles in a Little League Classic game. Every year they play, two teams play each other in front of Little Leaguers who are there for their World Series. And that's in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, always there. And when they played, there was a video that went viral after footage of a young black boy surrounded by his white teammates showed them pushing cotton in his hair, and it was viewed around the world. This shocking moment featured a sea of white ball players, children, good boys, pulling stuffing from stuffed toys they were given and pushing it into the young boy's hair. You have to see the video. They had the cotton all over from the top and the sides, and they just kept pushing it, all of them. The kids are laughing. Obviously, it was the music. But the victim, the young black boy, is clearly not happy. In fact, he isn't smiling, and he's kind of cowered over, unsure of how to react. Little League officials acknowledge it could be perceived as racially insensitive, they said. But they also said they have been assured that there was no ill intent behind the action. They said they have been assured. They confronted the boys, parents of the boys, and they've been assured that there was no ill intent behind the actions. Okay, more about that later. Let me define the word assimilation. Don't always, I use big words, but I don't always assume that the rest of the world gets into big words like I do. One definition of assimilation is to cause something to resemble, assimilate. Another definition is to bring into conformity with customs, attitudes, etc. of a dominant social group, nation, or the like. Then it goes on to adapt or adjust, also to take in information, ideas, or cultures and fully understand. Let me read the second definition again. To bring into conformity. You must conform with the customs, the attitudes, etc. of a dominant social group, nation, or the like. Sorry. The second part of that is to adapt or adjust, take in information, ideas, or culture, and understand fully. Let me tell you something about that. Some of you, my younger audience, may not even know this, but back in the 50s, 40s, maybe 30s, I don't know, but back in history, black men used to conk with a K, K-O-N-K, put lie in their hair so it was straightened to be like the white man. Sorry. That was their way of trying to assimilate. I got hair just like you, my man. I got hair just like you. The fact that I had to stay in the bathroom and, go through that burning and stuff. I'm assimilating. That's assimilation. Didn't make white people any more friendly to black people, but black people thought it looked better because they had the dominant cultures here. That's part of bringing into conformity of that answer with the customs, attitudes of the dominant social group. Now here's the second part, where it says taking information, ideas, or culture and understand fully. Obviously, the white boys on that team didn't assimilate very well, or they aren't assimilating very well, because they seem not to understand that cotton on that black boy's head in and of itself was offensive. And to be in the little league, get somewhere around 12, or, you're not a toddler. So there's a certain degree of intelligence you should possess. Now, we're going to assume that they possess it because I know they tend to go to some better schools. So we're going to assume they have education. They know they're reading and writing. But socially, they didn't know, or they made it seem like they didn't know. That would be offensive. Okay. Let me, if you would, read what a little older boy, black boy, he was 18-year-old Harry Paden, that's me, thought about assimilation in June 1971. Don't start laughing, young people. I know it was a long time ago. This is what Harry Paden, me, thought about assimilation. And this is his speech to his high school graduating class at Central High School in Newark, New Jersey. Here goes. Throughout this nation's existence, people from other lands have come here to the United States to be a part of the American dream. Make no mistake about it, some people did not come to America voluntarily. The slavery of black people has clogged up America's melting pot. White Americans now say, that was back then, they still saying it, that's in the past. We should simply move on. And they view it, America, as a melting pot into which people of many lands have poured into the crucible of democracy, merged into one nation. That's what white Americans believe. That's some good stuff. I was only 18. Okay, continuing. But those who have eyes to see know that such a picture ignores much of the reality of community and national life. This concept of a melting pot is defective in a sociological sense because it shows little insight into the actual process of adjustment. Though assimilation has been constantly taking place, many people have not melted freely into the mainstream of American life. Powerful forces such as philosophical values placed on being different have worked simultaneously to reinforce group differences as well as social segregation. Moreover, where the melting pot has been working, it has not operated with the rapidity, nor did it produce the revolutionary outcome of a fused alchemy of American stock as its advocates had hoped. Continuing, to make a tasty salad, one would use many ingredients such as lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, etc. But for the salad to really be tasty, each ingredient must not lose its individuality, or it would serve no useful purpose in the South. This is the plight of America's melting pot, assimilation. It has, whether through mistake or purposely, tended to force its immigrants, America's immigrants, to lose their individuality and to conform to that idealized picture of an American formed by the American system. You know, blue-eyed, blonde hair, 2 cars, living in the suburbs. That's the idea. That's the idea. Oh, God, I gotta be just like them. That's not in my speech, that part, the last part. Sorry, I digress. And here I continue. I am a black student, and if the American concept of a melting pot expects me or any other black student to conform to its very white-oriented concepts of an American, then it also expects the tomato in the salad to lose all of its good and bad points just to take on the good and bad points of the lettuce. In other words, it wouldn't be a tomato anymore. It would be a lettuce. Well, I personally think the tomato is better than the lettuce anyway, if you know what I mean. All due respect, I do not want to assimilate and become a white American. I am descended from kings and queens, and those descendants, what I'm descended from, their blood runs through my veins. I am perfect the way I am. Oh, that boy was bad. That was me at 18. I didn't mellow that. Sorry. Back. That's what I thought about assimilation. I said it didn't work. I don't want to be white. I want to run around and say, golly gee, I'm no offense. I'm not trying to be offensive. But there are cultural differences, and I like my cultural difference. I like how I talk. I like how my head looks. I like how my lips are huge. I love it. Now y'all love it. We used to didn't love it. This is why, in my humble opinion, assimilation in the case of America does not work. The dominant culture, white America, wants us to be like them. Sorry, I get emotional. The fact that the Little League officials have the nerve to say that they believe that there was no ill intent behind the action shows not only their indifference, but highlights their ignorance. I said it. Either they don't know or they're indifferent. I said it, and I stand by it. No offense meant. No intent, no ill intent meant. Come on. Okay. Now, let's get to another part of that scenario. The young black boy in this scenario, he plays for what would one assume is a suburban Little League team in a suburban community made of mostly the dominant culture. There's nothing wrong with that. That kind of has a suggestion that his family is somewhat upwardly mobile. I don't know what his family makeup is, but he, from his picture, is clearly a person of black culture. He's the same complexion as I am, so I'm going to assume it. Now, the fact that he sat there and let them do that means that he wants them to like him. He thought it was acceptable. Okay, do that, It's a joke. No way, Jose. I ain't let black boys bully me. And black boys can be some tough son of a gun sometimes. Because I grew up in the ghetto. I wasn't bullied. Well, I was bullied, but I fought back. You ain't going to bully me on my permission. But the fact that the young man sat there and didn't smile and looked like he was uncomfortable shows that he has assimilated into that community. He wants to be like them, even though they don't accept him as them. And he was afraid to say something. That's a major problem for me. As a black father, I taught my kids how to stand up for themselves. I said, I got your back 100% all the time. If a white person or any other person mistreats you, particularly because of your race, Daddy got you. Daddy got you. Be proud to be black. I told him that. My kids are. So that young man, there's a big problem. I would like to sit down to him and say, son, why did you let them do that to you? They weren't that much bigger than him. Most of them were small, same size. That presents a problem to me. That's what assimilation does in America. You want to be just like them, so you accept their nonsense. I'm going to get ready to end, but let me tell you about my experience. I went to, after I graduated from high school, a black high school. You know, we had some people of different colors, but we were predominantly black African American. I had experiences with white people before because I had traveled the globe on a program. So I had some experience, not a whole lot, but some. A whole summer I spent with people of a different race. And, you know, we had our little difficulties, but we ended up getting along because we were overseas by ourselves, and we kind of had to go, it's us against anybody else, because a lot of people don't like America overseas. Another subject, another day. But when I fully realized the differences in the two cultures is when I went to American University in suburban Washington, D.C. American University is one of the top tier schools in the United States. You can bet that people of all ilks, the highest of ilks, come from American University, on the likes of Princeton, Yale, Harvard. People who go to American University do well. I've done well. I just still am black, so I can't hide that. But I did well. But I can't, as you can tell from my speech, I came to American University an educated young man. I knew my words. I knew everything that I needed to know. I was and still am intelligent. Here's what happened, though, that changed, not changed me, but when I came to American University, I knew my black history. And that was back in 1971. I had black history classes at Princeton University, and I learned about how we descended from kings and queens and how powerful the people that I descended from was and still is. So when I went to American University, I don't know if I fully understood the culture shock that I would go through. But it was culture shock. Their music was different. Their bathing habits were different. Not bad. I'm not talking bad like, but it was just different. Culturally, we are different. Anybody who has expressed both cultures, know there's differences. There's just differences. Gonna get into that. I discovered that, but the one thing I had no desire to do and I did not do, I ain't assimilate. You know, when you come in as a freshman, people like to bully you and push you around. You know, freshman. I came in a lowly freshman, and when people would ask me, "Hi, how you doing? Where you from?" I'm from Newark. Oh, okay. See you later. They were scared to death of me because they knew. Newark kids, we rock. And yes, I did have a fight. I had a fight in the football field, and I almost kicked that boy's teeth out. After that, nobody bothered me. My reputation alone, being from Newark, kept me there. But by the second semester, they started to test me. And my roommate tested me. And we marched from my room, which was on something like one of the top floors. We were pretty high up there. We marched and we were fighting, and kids was following us. They go fight! Guess they wanted to see how tough I was. Mark was bigger, stronger, but I'm from Newark. In the end, the fight ended when Mark got me on the ground and I kicked him straight under his chin, and there was blood everywhere. I got off the subject. but I have not, will I ever assimilate into this country. I don't want to be like the dominant culture for reasons I don't have to express. They're great. I have many, many, many white friends. Many white people helped me on my journey. So believe me, I'm not talking about an entire race, but I'm talking about people that sometimes are different. They don't want me to assimilate. I don't want to assimilate. Assimilation doesn't work. For America to be the great nation that she purports to be, let all the immigrants be the immigrants. You want to speak Spanish, speak it. Better know how to speak English when you go to the bank. You want to come over here and be like you are there, you can be it. I am who I am. I'm black. I speak intelligently. Some people say that's speaking white. How ignorant is that? But I'm an intelligent. You saw when I was 18. Go back, rewind it. That speech was when I was 18 years old. The boy was sharp. I'm still sharp. Thank you for listening. This was probably a hard one to do because my emotions get into this. These white kids had a lot of nerve torturing that poor black boy like that. But the Little League said they had no bad intent. Leave them poor white boys alone. To God be the glory for my mentors and the people who taught me so that I could be a strong black man. There's nobody greater than a strong black man. I said it. To God be the glory.